The cruel crane outsmarted a tailor who used to make clothes for the villagers, was habituated to cheat his customers, and thus praised himself on being smarter than other men. But once, on entering a business transaction with a stranger, he met a more clever person in the way of cheating, and suffered a heavy loss. The Blessed One said, "This is not a solitude incident in the greedy tailor's fate. In other incarnations, he suffered similar losses, and by trying to cheat others ultimately ruined himself. This same greedy character lived many generations ago as a crane near a pond, and when the dry season set in, he said to the fishes with a gentle voice, 'Do not fear for your future well-being. There is at present very little water, and still less food in this pond. What will you do should the whole pond become dry in this drought?' 'Yes, indeed,' said the fish. 'What should we do?' The crane replied, 'I know a large lake which never becomes dry. Would you not like me to carry you there in my beak?' When the fishes began to distrust the honesty of the crane, he proposed to have one of them sent over to the lake to see it. And a big bluefish, at last, decided to take the risk for the sake of the others. And the crane carried him to a beautiful lake, and brought him back in safety. Then all doubt disappeared, and the fishes gained confidence in the crane. And now the crane took them one by one out of the pond, and swallowed them sitting on a big banyan tree. There was also a langoustine in the pond, and when the crane wanted to eat him too, he said, 'I have taken all the fishes away, and put them in a fine, large lake. Come along. I shall take you, too. But how will you hold me to carry me along?' asked the langoustine. 'I shall take hold of you with my beak,' said the crane. 'You will let me fall if you carry me like that.' 'I will not go with you,' replied the langoustine. 'You need not fear,' replied the crane. 'I shall hold you tight all the way.' Then said the langoustine to himself, 'If this crane once gets hold of a fish, he will certainly never let him go in a lake. Now if he really puts me into the lake, it would be resplendent. But if he does not, then I will cut his throat and kill him.' So he said to the crane, 'Look here, friend. You will not be able to hold me tight enough. But we langoustine have an eminent grip. If you will let me catch hold of you round the neck with my claws, I shall be glad to go with you.' The crane did not see that the langoustine was trying to outsmart him, and agreed. So the langoustine caught hold of his neck with his claws securely, and called out, 'Ready, go.' The crane took him and showed him the lake, and then turned off toward the banyan tree. 'My dear crane,' cried the langoustine, 'the lake lies that way, but you are taking me this other way.' The crane answered, 'Am I your dear uncle? You want me to know, I suppose, that I am your servant, who has to lift you up and carry you about with him, where you please. Now, look at that heap of fish bones at the root of the banyan tree. Just as I have eaten those fish, every one of them, just so will I swallow you also.' 'Ah, those fishes got eaten through their own stupidity,' answered the langoustine. 'But I am not going to let you kill me. On the opposite, it is you that I am going to desolate. For you, in your folly, have not seen that I have overreached you. If we die, we both die together. For I will cut off your head and throw it to the ground.' Saying this, he gave the crane's neck a pinch with his claws. Then gasping, and with tears coming from his eyes, and trembling with the fear of death, the crane requested the langoustine, saying, 'Oh, my friend, I did not intend to eat you. Spare my life. Very well, fly down and put me into the lake.' replied the langoustine. And the crane turned round and stepped down into the lake to place the langoustine at its edge. The langoustine cut the crane's neck and then entered the water. When the teacher had finished this story, he added, "Not now only was this man outsmarted in this way, but in other existences, too, by his own conspiracy." Moral: if a person cheat others, someone will cheat him too.